Welcome to another live edition of the Pittsburgh Sportsline TV show in the BP TV studios. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Also, thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park, all the way to Nemacolin and out to Cranberry, Wexford, and everywhere in between on Verizon 32. We appreciate you. I hear a lot of great comments out there, so thank you very much. On Facebook, we hit a brand new high, 6,543 likes. That's the highest level we've ever been at, so thank you very much for that. We're proud of it. We appreciate you watching the shows and liking them and liking our Facebook page. It's actually 6 years ago tomorrow that we started this show, Pittsburgh Sportsline, so I'm honored to be doing this for 6 years. It means a lot to me. We brought Chip on in the third show. Smoking Jim was here originally, even though he's missed a few due to health issues and other nonsensical things like boxing matches. And he actually was at our show, I'll talk about this later, on Christopher Columbus Day at Olive Oil's Pizzeria and more in Brookline. He did show up there because he was supposed to announce boxing between the USA and Italy, and they cut the TV out. A lot of great fights. I heard it was 6-6.
Wow.
Yeah, so they gave updates like that. U.S. Pittsburgh guys ended up winning a tie. They had a tiebreaker somehow, and they won it.
Wow.
But it was 6-6 in bouts.
I didn't know.
12 bouts. You could have been a superstar announcing that.
Yeah.
You could have done it like you did shows with Bill Neal. You were just telling us last week. Well, enough of that. I got some promo things to talk about. First one up is a Muay Thai event that'll be on November 4th. Smoking Jim and I will also be at the Brownson House in Washington, PA, so we're going to miss this event. Andy Anderson was promoting it last night on our TV show, and same with Dan Bogan. But Muay Thai, November 4th, out in Ross Township. Check it out. All right. Stay Joey Strong. We end each show with that. Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Check it out. Donate some money, time. Check out the events that they have. This poor kid didn't make it to his 9th birthday with a deadly brain cancer, DIPG. All their money, it's a 501c3, goes to the doctors. Hey, thanks for our sponsor, Olive Oil's Pizzeria in Bethel Park, 412-831-1900. Call there and ask for Jason. Jason's working Tuesday this week. He normally doesn't. He said you can have him call Talking Machine. So ask for Jason, order your pizzas and hoagies and whatever else you might, wings. All their stuff is great. Bethel Park Historical Society, where that trolley is on South Park Road. Check it out. The Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. You can donate as little as $1 there to help them out. They do a lot of great things in the community. And they also rent the place out for different things. They have a library. They have artifacts there. They had cheerleaders' outfits from the 20s, all kinds of things. Bethel Park Community Foundation, bpcf.org, from $100 to $5,000. Check it out. They just gave out 300 smoke detectors this last weekend to needy families in Bethel Park. So a lot of good things going on in the community. If you have stuff that's good, check it out, bpcf.org. Last one is Dave Cable likes to have fun, sometimes at my expense and others. Well, here I am. I want you for BPTV, 412-831-3304. Call Dave Cable. Johnny Mariana was in the sound room doing the soundboard for us a couple weeks ago. He volunteered. He filmed a council meeting the other night. We got Devin Shea here. We got Steve, Rookie of the Year, Fisher.
Yes.
And we got Ethan here. Hello to your dad, Kevin. Ethan, hope he's watching the show. But you could be a volunteer here at BPTV, 412-831 3304. That's what I have. And now we start What's on Your Mind, which is sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski Service Station in Finleyville. Check it out. I got a number here for you. Anything on gas, Skeets will work on it. 724-348-4715. Tell them the Talking Machine sent you there. He did some work on my car, saved me some money, so I appreciate that. And he's sponsoring What's on Your Mind, and I have a question right now for Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind?
Thanks,
Smoking Jim Frazier.
The Talking Machine, and if you want the green, you got to see.
Threw a fireball at
Look,
you.
I got ink on my hands because you.
I fired one in there.
You gave me a loaded. You gave me a loaded.
Roethlisberger passes.
Yeah.
No, he's been throwing high. I threw it low for the belly.
Okay.
Right in the bread basket.
But I want to get some thank yous out of the way real quick. I want to thank the love of my life, the minister, my spiritual guide, Miss Robin Clark, for watching the show. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Hello,
I
Robin.
almost got a little broken up on that.
I know, you got choked up on that.
Choked up, and also I had lunch with my business partner today.
Which one?
She treated.
Which
Jody
one?
Velasquez.
Hi, Jody.
Yeah. So thank you, Jody, for lunch.
Where'd you eat?
I get the next one.
Where'd you eat?
We actually ate this time at a place called Duke's Rib.
Never heard of
Steakhouse.
them.
Yeah, rib place.
Good ribs.
I'm sure we. Well, I actually had a salad, but she had the chicken. Yeah, I had a nice big salad.
I think,
Hold it.
I think you need to go see the doctor.
Hey, Chip, last night somebody said, Smoking Jim looks good. I said he lost 47 pounds, and I think he gained 5 of them back. If he had salad today, it might have been that last comment that I made.
You gotta eat some meat on the bone, my brother.
Here's the Smoking Jim and telling the truth in everything he does. He's nothing but a truth sayer. Robin, you can second that. Maybe not.
I'm an honest man, but I also want to thank our President Trump for honoring the Pittsburgh Penguins today at the White House. I think it's an honor to go to the White House, and I'm glad the Penguins went.
Good.
And I want to thank the Pittsburgh Pirates for ending the season for me. Thank you, Pirates.
Hold on.
I'm out of my
Smoking
misery.
Jim, I noticed a trend here.
That was
Last
2
week,
ago. That was 2 weeks
yeah,
ago.
I have to interrupt the show again during a Smoking Jim segment. You know, folks, he's my brother from another mother, but he's been concussed so many times that these issues come up. Like last week, he declared that he went to a public school, Gateway, went to a college, Cal U, and never heard that Christopher Columbus was Italian.
News to me.
He thought he was from Ohio.
Yeah. The Queen City is down there in Ohio. We understand that. So now, you know, the Buccos, Chip whispered under his breath that was 2 weeks ago. I had mentioned on the show that they finished 75-87. So that means the season was over, and I had mentioned if they won 7 more games, they'd have had a winning record.
Well, it's playoffs.
How did you miss that?
It's playoffs. You said the record, but I've been fishing around. I thought they was in the playoffs. I'm looking around. I'm turning my TV. They're not in there.
Obviously, you were rooting against the Pirates all year because of your comments. And you're an NFL scout, very good one, betting on the wrong teams, but we understand that.
I like the Pittsburgh Wild Things. That's my team.
Smoking Jim, you're
You mean
scampering.
The Washington Wild Things?
Yeah,
What you're
yeah,
referring
same
to?
thing. I wish they
Okay.
moved. I hope they
Folks,
move closer.
40 miles
Folks.
south. You
I
give or
hope they
take.
move closer.
Folks, he's been concussed. I'm trying to ease into this. Okay, Smoking Jim, you didn't realize that baseball playoffs, you heard they were going on.
Yeah.
You may have even seen one pitch or
Yeah,
something.
you know, my Cubbies and my Yankees are out there, man.
Cubbies are rained out tonight.
Yeah.
Smoking Jim is very disappointed.
I have.
All right, let's move forward, though. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is the Pittsburgh Sports Line Team of the Week. I got a couple couple nominees here. North Allegheny 27 over Penn Hills 16. That's North Allegheny 27, Penn
Over
Hills
who?
16. I like that. Another team that has to be up for Team of the Week is Quaker Valley 42-14 over Beaver Falls. That's Quaker Valley 42-14 over
heard you the
Beaver
first time.
Falls, and Quaker Valley is 7-0 and ranked number 3. That's as high as I've ever heard Quaker Valley being ranked.
Actually, they're ranked number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Whoa, we
Right
got a
here,
conflict
right
here.
See,
I agree with you.
and that was from today's
Today.
newspaper?
See, this paper's a little old.
Yeah.
This is
It's
Saturday's
Monday.
paper.
Whoa.
So thanks for that, Chip. But how about Frazier 46, Brownsville 6? Frazier, and they play Amani Christian Academy.
Where are they located
this
at?
week?
Where's that Fraser located?
Frazier's located about, I'd say, 50 miles east of Pittsburgh. South of Monroeville.
Which is it, east or south?
It's in
No.
Perryopolis.
South of Monroeville, 50 miles south.
Okay. Where else you going?
How about in the Pittsburgh Sports Line Team of the Week
Of course.
goes to none other than Aliquippa 28, Clareton 0. Back-to-back losses for Clareton. I hate everything in Clareton. Again, Aliquippa 28, Clareton 0.
Except Robin Clark.
And I got Aliquippa ranked number 1.
Yes.
Okay, they're still number 1, 7-0. And the Pittsburgh Sports Line Player of the Week, and it was very difficult to narrow this down, but I
So you
had
have
to,
3 of them.
I had to give it to a white quarterback from Gateway, Brady Walker, underrated quarterback. They beat Plum 48-14. He threw 20 of 28, 286 yards and 6 touchdowns to lead the best team in the state, the number 5th ranked team in the WPIL, but the number 1 team in the state.
No, they're not even ranked in the top 5 in the state.
In the Pittsburgh Sports Line rankings of the state.
Smoking Jim,
well, I'll
you're
just say they're the
confused.
best team in the state.
The two-loss team is ranked higher than them.
Best team in the state, but Gateway.
According to you, right?
Brady Walker, who is very close to being one of the few quarterbacks in WPIL history to pass for over 6,000 career yards, and that'll make him the 2nd Gateway Gator to do it. Rob Kelstein, another white quarterback that we love, also did it. So congratulations, Brady Walker. I had to say that he's white because he got a black name. Brady Walker.
Smoking
but
Jim, just to
outstanding.
interrupt. If you didn't bring up the race card, nobody would do that.
But a lot of people would be thinking, is he black or is he white with that name?
yeah, but
Says
let
on
them
the
think
border.
that until next week.
Now,
when-
Kelstein, everybody knew his color.
Really?
But Brady Walker, we don't know. He's a white chip. And that's what's on my mind. Congratulations, Brady Walker and the Gateway Gators.
Isn't that your alumni there? Then you go
I
to school there.
love my Gators.
What was your number back then?
21.
21. I was looking for 26 and 22. No wonder I didn't see it. All right, Chip, what's on your mind?
Well, first, you want to make sure that we give remembrance to probably the greatest basketball player from
Oh.
the Pittsburgh area that ever
I met
played.
him.
I
met him.
I mean, not to disparage the Hammer, Armin Gilliam, who was from Bethel Park, but the Hawk passed this past Saturday. Connie Hawkins is the one man that brought a professional basketball championship to the city of Pittsburgh in 1968. Pittsburgh Pipers won the ABA title that year, and I do remember that. I was 8 years old at the time, and I think I may have even gone to a Pipers game. They weren't very well attended, probably the reason why my dad got tickets cheap. But my father was a basketball player in college and in high school, so
I didn't know that.
no, you know,
Little things come out.
that was back in the 40s,
Wow.
way back. But that was at a small high school in upstate New York, not heavily populated. But
How
Interesting.
did your dad get to Pittsburgh?
we'll save that for another
Okay.
show. We'll save that for another show when we got some dead air or something. You know what I mean? But
He's
yeah,
creating dead
just
air.
wanted to make sure that we gave remembrance to Connie Hawkins. Jim personally knew him and relayed some information about him.
I
If he
met
wants
him.
to share a little later on the show, he can, because he had more contact with him running basketball leagues throughout the city of Pittsburgh. And,
I met him years ago when he was a Piper, because my dad refereed some scrimmages. That
Really?
they had.
with your
Yeah.
connection with your father
Yeah,
and being a
that
bat,
brought me into that. I shook his hand, and I was like 10, 11 years old. He shook my arm.
What Jim, the comment that Jim made to me, he was Dr. J and Michael Jordan before either of those two existed.
That's true.
Amen.
I
So-
must co-sign that with
Yeah.
Smoking
So-
Jim. That was pre-concussion era with Smoking Jim.
So that being said,
Very good.
apparently there was a football game at Heinz Field this past Sunday. Unfortunately, nobody let the Steelers know what time the game started. You know, the game itself, they laid an egg, and there's just no better way to put it. And I'm sure we're going to get more into that in our Steelers
Yeah,
segment.
we
But
will.
but the thing that I find more disturbing than anything else is, you know, just the drama that centers around our quarterback and how he just seems to invite this in. But then once he's the center of attention and he's got everybody looking at him and he lays an egg, all of a sudden he doesn't want to be the center of attention and he doesn't want to answer for what he did. And maybe he pouts a little bit, but the thing I find amusing, and I think one of the problems with the Pittsburgh Steelers team right now, and I know that I've listened to the last 2 days, fire the head coach, fire the coordinators, fire the offensive line coach, trade Ben, get
Hold on,
rid
what
of
about the
get
defensive
rid
coach?
of get rid of. I'm getting to him.
Okay.
Get rid of AB. Le'Veon Bell's a bum. They should get rid of him, and the defense just doesn't even exist. You know, I think what the Steelers' biggest problem is, it doesn't lie in the coaching staff, it lies in leadership. And I think there's a lack of leadership on the Pittsburgh Steelers on the offense and the defense. Leader is not the person that tells you he's the leader. A leader is a person that shows you he's the leader and his players follow him. So, I think we have a leadership problem on this team, and this team needs to find an identity. And to find an identity, they do need to have somebody step up and be a leader. And you can't declare you're the leader. You have to prove that you're the leader. And if you expect anybody to follow you, you've got to, step up and be accountable. And I don't think that there's anybody on the team willing to do that. And that's what's on my mind.
Very well said, Chip. Matter of fact, we haven't had a good leader since Jerome Bettis and Alan Faneca. They led by example, and they told people off in the locker room.
But we all three of us got black shirts on, so that's good leadership, Al.
Say that? Well, we got a couple of texts in the afternoon say, hey,
Yeah,
black and white.
thanks.
Black and white is the color for the night.
Thanks. Smoking Jim sent me a text that I will try to bring the race card up the first minute of the show. Please wear black. And he did. I'm honored to be wearing black. 6 years.
Greg?
of
But I'm
Pittsburgh
still
sports.
wearing still wearing my Steeler logo proudly. I believe the Steelers will turn it around.
Greg Lloyd used to say real men wear black.
And he
Or
also
black.
used to say that they didn't hire me for my disposition.
And they didn't hire him to coach. We digress. Let me say what's on my mind. I thought Chip would grab this one, but he did not. Roger Goodell sent a message to every team in the NFL, and it was surprising to me because all 32 owners have backed Goodell no matter what discipline he puts out, no matter what publicity he doesn't put out or does. And they said the NFL would like everybody to stand, and when you're not standing, it causes problems with trying to talk about it. So he made a statement like that went to each club, and my point is, why now? It's bad enough. Forget the politics of it. Trump did something offhanded that fired everybody up on a subject that was just about dead on kneeling each game, except the announcers talk about it a half hour each day. And throughout talk shows, I listened to the Fan throughout the day a couple times, and they talk about kneeling, not even about what the subjects, and Colin Kaepernick was even trying to bring light on issues. So it's just nonsense. There's Goodell again. just coming out there with something. So it's just shocking.
Well, it's no surprise that, since we're on this subject, and we'll end it quickly, television ratings are down 38% for the NFL.
I don't believe that.
He's trying to protect his brand. But here's the thing that I find most interesting. Jerry Jones, the hypocrite Jerry Jones, has said that all Dallas Cowboys will stand for the national anthem or they will not play that Sunday. Let's see how long that lasts if Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and Des Bryant kneel for the national anthem. Is Jerry going to bench them and not play them this week and lose chance that he has to possibly make the playoffs? Stay tuned.
Well, as a little side note, I was talking with Chip about it. Jerry Jones is making this comment. They all have contracts in the NFL that pays them, I think, monthly. So I guess they wouldn't get paid if they're sitting down and he's not playing them. So they're not going to pay him? How would that even happen? And what grievance will the union file over this issue? Because he opened up a can of worms about it. So, I mean, the plot keeps thickening with it. I'd rather watch football for entertainment like I consider it, the political part to it. Trump had a USFL team, tried to get in the NFL, didn't get it. Chip informed me how the lawsuit went where Trump won it. Got $3.16.
He won $1, which the damages were tripled, and he got a check from the NFL for $3.16, which he has yet to cash, and it's been almost 30 years.
Wow.
Not that Trump would hold a vendetta or anything. No politics included in this, just statements of fact.
All this being said, wait till DeMaurice Smith files an injunction. Could this cause a play stoppage?
I'll just check with Jamel Hill.
She just got disciplined again.
You know
Can't
what?
believe you brought that
If
up.
you want to see football, here's my advice. Friday Night Lights.
High school football and WPA.
Or you can watch Pitt and they rip a red shirt off of a kid that deserves it for one play.
We digress a little bit.
Sorry about
We're going to come back for Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore, it's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, but right here is everything that you need is in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks, like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here, like it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and let Dave be your guide.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and Chip Hayner. Couple sad notes, like Chip said about Connie Hawkins.
What a great player. One of the top 50 players in NBA history was voted that. And congratulations again to all the deserving players and teams who I did not put into the City League Hall of Fame this weekend and who will never get in, but it was another great event. I wasn't able to attend the banquet this past year.
How did you miss that free meal?
But yeah, but it was another great event at the August Wilson Center downtown.
I've been in there. It's a nice place.
I saw Bill Nill was MC.
Yeah. So, but with the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, we'll have to go to my dear good friend, the late great Mitch Adams, former basketball coach at Gateway High School, and I'm glad Mitch and I patched up our differences. We were very good friends until I wrote an article when Gateway was trying to get Terry Smith fired, and I wrote a 2.5-page article and named names and blew up everybody that was involved in egregiously trying to get Terry Smith fired, and I dedicated a column to Mitch Adams, and for that he stopped speaking to me for a while, but he did call a couple of weeks before he died, and he hates Ben Roethlisberger, and we got a chance to talk. And before he died, I was very sad to hear about his passing, and equally sad when Gateway fired him as basketball coach for what they consider abusive language to kids. But that's the way he talked. But my experience with Mitch is he's the only basketball coach in Gateway history. Gateway's never really had a great basketball team. They probably had two great eras in basketball. The two times that they won the WPIL championship and almost won the third, went to the WPIL championship 3 years in a row, and I was fortunate enough to cover that game. And
what year was that?
I think it was 2012 and 13, I believe. And I apologize for the other WPIL teams that only got a smidgen. I had to leave room to write about Gateway, but hey, they got their scores mentioned. But
Thanks.
The other great era was probably when my brothers played for Mitch. Mitch could never get a head coaching job for any high school, probably because he was like 400 pounds, and he was always a big kid. Never played basketball, but probably one of the best foul shooters I ever seen. Really? I remember when I was in high school, Mitch would come in with in the wintertime with 2 or 3 bags full of basketballs and just stand at the foul line and make it, and almost have to take a cart to go collect all the balls. But
Why
just
didn't
a great
you help
coach.
him out?
But to wind this up, well, I was skipping class at the time, but
Okay.
I used to always see him like, boy, he could really shoot. But he coached my brothers in summer league basketball, and at the time, their team consisted of my brothers, Terry Smith, Curtis Bray, and Mike Livorio, and they pretty much wiped out everybody. And I was happy that when Terry Smith got the athletic director, that he hired Mitch Adams, and it turned out to be good for both parties. And like I said, I've lost a lot of friends over the years because, I don't bite my tongue or my typing finger when it comes down to it. And but hey, rest in peace. I was going to get a Pittsburgh Sports Line trophy from Mitch. He owned a trophy shop. I had the works and plan. Maybe whoever takes over, I can say, hey, I gave a little deposit on this. Maybe I get a little discount. But I want to make the Pittsburgh Sports Line like the Stanley Cup, where every ring will be a different class. Make this thing bigger and better. And Mitch was going to design that for me on the low. So now I have to find another trophy place
There's plenty around.
Yeah, so, but I wanted it to be special like the Stanley Cup. But that's the fiction, in fact, from Smoking Jim Almanac. Rest in peace, Mitch. I can already see you looking down on Gateway.
Shooting a foul shot.
Great
Thanks.
foul shooter, man.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Appreciate that. Again, we seem to have inhaled a lot of fiction on this, and the facts are a little bit limited there. Years-wise, who knows? Thank you, Smoke.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to my trivia segment. Going to start it off a little differently this week.
Thanks, Smoke.
Because of a certain gentleman's bias, I thought I would mention other high school athletes and teams of note. Okay? Now, when it comes to picking the WPIAL Class 1 Player of the Year, Fort Cherry's Ryan Culberson might deserve some serious consideration.
Great quarterback.
6'5", 210 senior quarterback, has done a little of everything for Fort Cherry and helped the Rangers to a 5-1 record. Over the past 3 games, Fort Cherry has scored 16 touchdowns, and Culberson has been involved in 15 of them.
I'll never mention that.
He has 11 touchdowns rushing, 1 passing, 2 on punt returns, and 1 on a kickoff return. Worth making a mention too. Huh? But he didn't play on the east side of town.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby, but it was worth mentioning. Also, the high school games to highlight this weekend. Quite a number of interesting games. 5 games will match teams that are undefeated.
Wow.
Thomas Jefferson at Bell Vernon.
I'd like to see that.
Freeport at Seton LaSalle. Aliquippa at Quaker Valley.
Woo!
Riverside at Cardinal World North Catholic. And East Allegheny at Steel Valley.
North Catholic's undefeated without Jason Gilden coaching?
No, my
Wow.
goodness. Huh?
Helped out.
So there are some there, if you want to see football and you want to minus the drama and the Twitter wars and every other thing that goes on and the flag and the people kneeling for the national anthem, check these out Friday night, my friends. Now, this past Friday, Phil Jerkovic became only the 2nd quarterback in WPIAL history to throw for 6,000 yards and run for 2,000 in a career. There's one other quarterback that did that. Can you remember his name, Jim?
6,002.
And how about the school?
You stumped him.
Maybe the year.
Adam DeMichael?
2014 Stowe Rocks graduate.
Adam DeMichael.
Lenny Williams.
Lenny Williams. Wow. I had the right school, the wrong player.
Yeah, wrong player.
Lenny
So
Williams.
heading into Friday night's game, only 9 quarterbacks in WPIL history had thrown for 6,000 career yards. That club almost grew by 3. However, every ship has to have an anchor. Well, the anchor here would have been Brady Walker from Gateway because he came up 7 yards shy.
He's white.
5,993.
Proud of
But
him.
both Phil Jerkovic and Drew Saxton from South Fayette passed 6,000 yards passing this week. I know he's rolling his eyes because I mentioned somebody other than one of his Gators. But just wanted to kind of touch on some things that I felt were making note of. And like I said, just from a simply unbiased opinion.
Chip, thanks for the unbiased there. That's refreshing. I can actually breathe again.
Okay, so now let's get to a little baseball trivia. I promised you some postseason trivia, but I stumbled across some trivia that I posted on Facebook. But I felt that this was something worth making mention of because I talked about how last week we talked about there were 6,100 home runs hit this year in baseball, and there was 40,000 some strikeouts, and that there was only 4 pitchers that topped the charts at 18 wins. So the ERAs have gone up, the home runs have gone up. Well, here's some Hall of Fame statistics.
Whoa.
From a pitcher who was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame. Greg Maddux, pitcher for the Braves, pitched for the Chicago Cubs.
He's in?
In his career, he faced 20,421 batters. Of the 20,421 batters he faced, 310 of those batters saw a 3-0 count. Of those 310 that faced a 3-0 count, 177 were intentional walks.
Get on.
Now that's what puts you in the Hall of Fame. Jim's trying to figure it out.
He doesn't understand.
hit him.
I'm lost on that.
You got lost on it. Okay,
He
so
had
we're
good
gonna hit.
control.
So we're gonna hit.
He had
some-
good control.
Okay.
You know, I was looking for some statistics that would, kind of that interest me involving the postseason, and the player with the highest batting average in a season in the playoffs was a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Reggie Jackson?
Lloyd McClendon in 1992 had a batting average of 727
Wow.
for the playoff run. Number 2 was in 1989, first baseman from the Chicago Cubs, Mark Grace. His average was 647.
Wow.
Next, believe it or not, I found this interesting because everybody called the 27 Yankees the Murderers Row, probably
Yeah.
the greatest team in baseball. But Babe Ruth in 1928 had a batting average of 625 for the playoffs. Fred Lynn was number 4, and in 1982 he batted 611 in the playoffs. Tied at number 5 were Carlos Gonzalez in 2009 and Dante Bichette in 1995 at 588.
Get on.
Somebody broke into that top 10 this year. However, they got swept last night. Hanley Ramirez of the Boston Red Sox in 2017 batted 571. Still couldn't buy a win.
I didn't know they were out.
Also number 8 from the 1928 Yankees, Lou Gehrig at a 545 batting average. Tied with Hank Gowdy from 1914, I believe.
Yeah.
His average was 545. Okay, same as Lou Gehrig. Last but not least, A.J. Ellis in 2014, batting average of 538. Now, I'm going to flip this over to the number of hits in a postseason, the top 10 players, and I'll go through it quickly. Number 1, the Kung Fu Panda. 2014, Pablo Sandoval had 26 hits and 75 at-bats. Wow. Darren Erstad in 2002, 25 hits and 75 at-bats. Tied for number 2 as well. David Freese from 2011 when he was a St. Louis Cardinal, 25 hits and 71 at-bats. Then Marquise Grissom in 1995, 25 hits and 68 at-bats.
Locked up.
There's a couple of players here that you're going to hear their name mentioned twice in the top 10.
Really?
And they're not people that you would expect to hear. Albert Pujols in 2011 had 24 hits and 82 at-bats. Tino Martinez for the Yankees in 2000, 24 hits and 71 at-bats. The Kung Fu Panda in 2012, 24 hits and 70 at-bats. I'm surprised he's twice in the top 10s. Marty Barrett in 1986, 24 hits and 68 at-bats. Albert Pujols, again with 24 hits in 2004, 67 at-bats. Alcides Escobar for the Kansas City Royals, 23 hits and 77 at-bats, is tied for number 10. Again with Marquise Grissom in 1996 with 23 hits and 76 at-bats. And last but not least, Steve Garvey of the 81 Los Angeles Dodgers, 23 hits and 68 at-bats.
He was good.
So that kind of wraps up my trivia for this week. I kind of changed it up a little bit. You know, the playoffs, there's not a lot to deal from. And my bold prediction for World Series champion this year, I expect the Houston Astros to win the title this year after sweeping the Red Sox. They had the second best record in the American League this year, right behind the Cleveland Indians, who have now wasted away a 2-0 lead against the Yankees. They play Game 5 tomorrow night. The Dodgers swept the Arizona Diamondbacks out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 teams already for the ALCS and 1 for the NLCS. The other series are yet to be played. The Chicago and Chicago and
Washington.
Washington. Game was rained out tonight. They'll play game 4 tomorrow. Chicago's up 2-1.
Your
and we'll
boy's
see what
playing
they-
for Washington, huh?
What's that?
Your boy's playing for Washington. He come back, huh?
Which
The
one's
home
that?
run hitter.
Bryce Harper?
Yeah.
Bryce
He
Harper?
come back from that
Well,
injury.
you know,
That's
if you
surprising
didn't,
to
if you
see.
didn't know this already, Jim, I root very, very much so for whomever is playing against the Cubs. That's,
Thanks for explaining that. It sort of got away from it, Chip.
just make no mistake. I don't care if the Washington Nationals fall off the face of the earth. They beat the Cubs. I'm good with them.
I'm a Bryce Harper fan, yeah.
No, but I seriously, I would like nothing more than to see the Houston Astros win, to see a team win its first World Championship, and then if you consider what happened with Hurricane Harvey in the city of Houston, it would be such a boom for their economy.
Yeah, the fix is in.
And just a few years ago, they lost over 100 games.
Exactly.
That alone.
They was in a different league at one time, weren't they?
They were in the National League. They were actually in the Central Division for a number of years.
It's easier to win in the American
Didn't
League.
they have those?
Smoking
Didn't
Jim,
they
it's
have those,
easier
those
to win
brothers?
100 games in the American League. That's why you don't see too many doing it.
Didn't they have your? Didn't they have a brother or cousins or a bunch of same guys with the same name, Matty and Lou and all
Well,
them? They
the
played for
Alou
that. That was
brothers-
Montreal. Montreal.
No, the Alou brothers played at one time in the same outfield for the San Francisco Giants. Matty Alou
Okay.
played for the Pittsburgh
They're
Pirates
everywhere.
at one time. There was Jesus and Felipe, and their sons managed to make it to the
You know
major
you're a
leagues, too.
lose. You know you're a lose.
That was a Matty Alou. Matty Alou won a batting title with the Pittsburgh Pirates
I didn't
in
know
the
that.
60s.
I don't remember him.
And you
Chip,
probably
thanks
wouldn't
for
even
your
heard.
thanks for your extra trivia to satisfy Smoking Jim. Thank you very much.
See,
On location, we got our segment. Smoking Jim surprised me. I bet that he wouldn't show up because I thought he would pull a Bill Neal, and they weren't filming last night. But he showed up for our show. Had 3 great guests. One guy was a Cal U assistant baseball coach. Had a great story. I met him in Giant Eagle. We were in line waiting to buy some things, and I started talking to him because I asked, "Is that a Cal U shirt?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you go there?" He goes, "No, I coach there."
Wow.
So we talked about that. He said how convincing I was. So,
Live long
yeah, I
and
got the
prosper.
Vulcan up. Yeah.
Yeah, live long and prosper.
Yeah, that goes out to Tom Liturgy there. So, yeah, I had good guests. Andy Anderson with Stout Training is putting on a Muay Thai event for November 4th. Quite a job there. He's a matchmaker. Looking for about 4 more bouts. We mentioned a guest of ours for our November 13th show will be in one of the corners. Jamie Chesney of Jill Bell who will be fighting in this event. So we'll get details on the 13th. And Dan Bogan, who's a legendary announcer and just does great things with Pittsburgh Sportsline, he was on there. And
Great hair.
yeah, yeah. Smoking Jim's all about the hair, as you know. So he wears it underneath whatever he's got going on back there. I don't know what the story is. But we had a great show. We'll be back at Olive Oil's Pizzeria November 13th. Check it out. Come on out and see the show. We film 7:30 to 8:30. $5 pizzas, large pizzas, $5 hoagies. Come on out. Frank's a great host out there, and we appreciate Olive Oil's Pizzeria at 930 Brookline Boulevard. See you next month.
Visit the Oliver Miller Homestead, an 18th century reenactment site located just off the circle on Corrigan Drive in South Park. Self-guided tours are available each Sunday from May 1st until December 8th from 1:30 until 4:30 p.m. with guides in 18th century garb located around the grounds to answer questions and to give information. Your tour will begin in a reproduction bank barn where displays give information on the movement west. You will also see the Miller Still and learn about the production of whiskey and the importance of it and of the Whiskey Rebellion to this area. Follow the Miller Trail up the path and visit the transportation shed, demonstration shed, forge, a reproduction log house, the original spring house, gardens, and finally end at the stone house. Each month, the guides host at least one special event. The homestead is also a great place for tours, tailored to the needs of school-aged children, scout groups, or adults. Visit our website at www.olivermillerhomestead.org for a schedule for the year and much more information on the history of the Miller family, our organization, and pricing information.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Let's talk some Penguins. They lost their first 2 games. They won 4-0 against the Predators. And new player they picked up, Reeves.
Ryan Reeves
Was a star of the game, #1 star, and got in 2 fights and scored a goal. Can't beat that.
Well, I like the fact that he was hired because, the Penguins felt that they needed an enforcer because, let's think. They won the last 2 Stanley Cups without one, so, okay, I guess it makes sense to bring one in now. But I thought it was great that he got into 2 fights on Saturday night, and then Sid Crosby bounced the puck in off of him, and he got credit for a goal.
Can't beat that.
Wow.
I remember Mario Lemieux bounced 44 goals off of Robbie Brown's forehead and turned him into an all-star.
Yes, he did. Yeah, definitely. That's back when he had some hair, too. No doubt about it.
I like fighting. I like fighting in hockey.
Well,
Then you'll like this Reeves.
With all the awareness that's being made with concussion protocols and everything, and they are trying to get hits to the head out of the game, yet they allow fighting where 2 guys wail away at each other's head.
Let me think about that.
I think that's just a bit hypocritical, but that's just my humble opinion.
They're still trying to appease the Canadian.
What I thought
Populous.
was one of the most brutal moments of the game was when Ian Cole took that puck to the mouth.
Yeah.
My boss was at the game, and he had good seats, and he said that when he got up, there was just this big puddle of blood on the ice, and then the attendants came out, and they were picking his teeth up off the ice.
Yeah, and he did lose a bunch of
Yeah,
teeth.
he took a
even
puck right
part
in the
of his,
mouth.
even part of his jaw. I think he might have lost a piece of his jaw.
I'm telling you,
on that.
they it was brutal, but that's hockey. I'm
surprised there's not more of those.
well, what I'm surprised about is he's not going to play tomorrow night because hockey players, they're the toughest guys out as far as professional athletes go.
Yeah.
They play on broken legs.
Well, look at Tocchet coming back from a broken jaw
Yeah,
and a period.
Yep.
So I mean, you do have that. The Penguins, I'm not worried about them. I predicted a 3-peat, and they'll just get their feet under them.
They got a long way to go, and the team that you see right now probably is not going to be the team that you're going to see going into the playoffs at the end of the year because the team evolves over time. Trades will be made.
And there already were a lot of changes that did happen this past year.
Yes, they
Players
lost Chris
leaving.
Kunitz. They lost
Cullen.
Matt Cullen, and it's a shame that they lost Matt Cullen. He went to Minnesota, which is where he is from.
He went for some money.
But he only got paid for $1 million,
I know.
that would have fit under the Penguins' salary cap, and they did want him. But you know what? He wanted to go back home and play in front of his home folks, and hey, after that many years in the sport, I guess, you know,
Well, he did win 2 cups just
the
recently.
Penguins are a
so-
class act. They let him go where he wanted to go.
Sure. That happens. I still like the team. Sullivan's a heck of a coach with how he mixes the young players with the older players and the core group of guys that he has. That's why I'm hopeful that they'll do well.
I think they're going to be fine. I'm not concerned. They lost the game 10-1. This is what happens in professional sports. Some night.
And Chris Letang came back, and they wanted to watch his minutes the first game back, including the overtime. He did 26 minutes. So they didn't hold him back that much.
Well, usually he's playing 32 to 34 minutes a game. So, yeah, they did hold him back a little bit. But Letang conditions himself to play that kind of minutes.
He's got the speed, brings that puck up on his own. So, I mean, he's quite the player. I'm glad to have him back, that we don't have to all pitch in to try to help out. But we need to play some defense in front of the goaltender.
But let's make a little bit of a mention for Marc-Andre Fleury and the Las Vegas Knights in the first 2 games, which were both victories for the Las Vegas Knights.
Really?
He faced 74 shots, stopped 72 of them.
Oh, man, that's
So
awesome.
Marc-Andre still performing the way he always performed for us. And he's always going to have a soft spot in our hearts here in Pittsburgh. It'll be interesting, I believe, in February when the Knights come to Pittsburgh. That would be a night that would be worth being at the paint can.
I wouldn't mind going to that game.
Tickets will be hard to come by.
A hockey game for
Yeah,
smoking.
you're not going to get those on the arm.
I got a media pass.
I don't think that'll happen there.
They may be limited, you know, because it's going to be a packed house.
Hey, before we get too crazy, let's try to delve into a little Steeler talk. It was a disappointing game in my eyes. Big Ben was throwing high again, missing receivers, and 5 interceptions. One of his worst performances.
Well, you know, it was a horrible performance by the offense. They bailed on the running game. But if Jacksonville was stacking the box with 8,
They had 8, 9 guys on the line.
So, but still, I mean, you know, a successful running game is a game of attrition. You know, you set up what you're going to do in the third and fourth quarters by pounding on them in the first and second quarters. And the Steelers tried to get out the gates, out of the blocks fast, with a couple of big plays, but they couldn't cash in on them because, once again, the best offense in the history of the NFL failed to score in the red zone. What do you think about that, Jim?
I'm not surprised. I said before the season, Steelers were 8-18. They talk
You
about.
said they're going to the Super Bowl
No, never that.
Yeah, with an 8-8 record.
You know,
before the 8.
they have a mediocre receiving core. Everybody talks about how great the receivers are. We said they were mediocre last year. They were less than that. You still got to play Green Bay. You got to play New England, Kansas City this week, Cincinnati twice, who's starting to come on. So if anybody doesn't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot of problems, they're crazier than the Rocket Man. This Pittsburgh Steelers team, Chip mentioned correctly that if you have a running game, you stack the box. Why didn't the Steelers stack the box against Jacksonville, who has a quarterback that has not been able to throw since he came in the league? And they allowed Jacksonville to run the ball 18 straight times, and they really could not stop them. So congratulations to Jacksonville. I was impressed with the Jacksonville, but you do not lose to a team like Jacksonville at home. Only thing that saved the Pittsburgh Steelers to this point is they had one of the weakest schedules over the first 5 games I've ever seen in NFL history. Now the schedule starts getting a little bit tougher. Inside information, the Steelers locker room is starting to get divided, and it happened because I think Terry Bradshaw is correct that the coaching staffs are a bunch of cheerleaders. When Antonio Brown and many other Steelers wanted to take a knee when they went to Baltimore, Big Ben, as the team captain, vetoed it. The team almost came to blows, and the locker room has just been divided right now. They need some leadership, like you spoke about at the beginning. I think leadership hurt when they got rid of Timmons. think leadership's hurt also by keeping your run stopper, James Harrison, on the bench. You have to find a way to play him.
They got him in street clothes.
They got him in street clothes. You have to find a way to get him in the game, even if you play him at defensive end at times. But the Pittsburgh Steelers' problems are great. The defensive coordinator is horrible, Keith Butler. I've been saying that since he got in the job. But I'm not surprised because this is a mediocre team. I think Ben will improve as the season goes. I'm not worried about Big Ben. But the Pittsburgh Steelers on their way to 8-8.
Well, this week will be telling. I mean, you know, you got.
I got money on Kansas City already. I'm a professional gambler.
Alex Smith is playing an MVP caliber.
I love that
season.
kid. I love that
and
kid.
you know what? You know how many turnovers they've had the entire season?
One all season.
One turnover in 5 games. You think there's any mystery as to why they're 5-0?
That's my preseason Super Bowl pick. Yeah. Seattle versus Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
But here's the problem with that. The only problem with Kansas City making it to the Super Bowl is Andy Reid. Andy Reid is, you know, he has a team that performs well in the regular season, but somehow they seem to not show up at some point during the playoffs. And look at his history with the Philadelphia Eagles. You know? Good point. But I mean, that all being said, there's too much nonsense going on. You know, I mean, my personal opinion, I think these guys need to throw away the social media, get the Twitter app off your phone, shut up and play football. Everybody's too worried about trying to get their brand out there, you know, and they want to make their mark on social media or whatever, and they're not focused on football. And it's apparent by what happens on Sunday afternoon. I mean, you know, if you're busy too much doing other things and you can't focus on what you're getting paid.
Who's the blonde-haired black kid for the New York Giants? He's out.
Odell Beckham.
Odell Beckham. You're taking a big chance, Le'Veon Bell, by not signing that long-term deal. That was a dumb move. And also, congratulations to Adrian Peterson, the genius, traded for him today. He's now in the Arizona Cardinal.
Wow.
Well, you think about what happened to the New York Giants this weekend. They lost their entire receiving corps. Brandon Marshall's out for the year. Their second receiver's out for the year, and Odell Beckham's now out for the year. Everybody's getting their ankles operated on.
Wow. Maybe you get trade for Sammy Coates.
So you got Eli, who is now 0-5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we give him Eli Rogers. He ain't playing.
I know what happened with him.
That is causing fracturing in the locker room because a lot of the players think that Eli should be dressing on Sunday and should be playing.
He's pretty good underneath receiver. Yeah.
Tomlin loves Juju, and he's going to play. I mean,
he's only 20 years old, so we'll see what he can do.
Too young to drink.
Right. You don't drink smoking, Jim. Why you know?
How about the offensive line coach for the Miami Dolphins, snorting coke?
About it. 62 years old or something.
Is he that old?
Yeah.
Never too old.
He's taking video like you do, with your business partners and stuff. So who knows what goes on? Thanks for watching the show. We got a little distracted here at the end, but we'll try to focus again next week for you. Thanks for watching, and please stay Joey strong.